Jay here for Stretford, Paddock. This is the Paper Talk. As you can see, I'm outside Old Trafford as usual. I've got my parker on because it is a bit nippy, but hopefully it'll get warmer as the day goes on. Going over this morning's papers and the big story featuring Manchester United, well, featuring not just Manchester United but also Liverpool as well, apparently in cahoots with the Scousers, is that Manchester United and Liverpool have teamed up to sort of spearhead this Project Big Picture campaign, which is what it's being called. Now, this is an idea for a sort of revamping of the Premier League, and it's not going down too well in a lot of the papers. There's been a lot of pushback on it, people criticising it, saying it's a bit elitism. Liverpool and United basically trying to look after their own interests. Now, if you've not heard about this, what it is Liverpool and United have come up with this idea where there'll be lots of changes in the top flight. So for starters, the top flight will go down from 20 teams down to 18 teams. Also, the League Cup and the Community Shield, or the Charity Shield as some of the older fans still call it, will be scrapped. £250 million will be given to the Football League, to the EFL. Apparently, the EFL chairman, Rick Parry, has given his support to these proposals. There's also other little changes as well. I think that only the bottom two teams would be guaranteed of being relegated, and then there'd be a playoff for the third lowest. And other things like that. Sorry, two sides are automatically relegated from the top flight, while top two from the Championship are promoted. The club who finishes 16th in the Premier League will be put in a playoff with the 3rd, 4th and 5th place teams from the Championship. So you go into a playoff in the Championship, or with the Championship teams, if you finish 16th. As I said earlier, it'll be going down from 20 teams to 18 teams. If this all goes ahead, the benefit from this, it seems, would be that it'd be able to inject some cash into the Football League. Then the clubs there getting a £250 million payoff or windfall, whatever you want to call it. Now, it depends how you look at this. You could look at this as, okay, do we need to look after the clubs in the Football League, especially in the wake of coronavirus and what's going on there? Or, as I said earlier, is this just elitism? I mean, Project Big Picture, I mean, it's an awful title. It sounds very much like corporate speak, blue sky thinking and all that sort of drivel. But obviously, there's some sort of changes that may need to be made to look after the clubs in the Football League. We know that a lot of clubs have been going under. I think Macclesfield, the latest club locally, to go under. So this could be an idea to help salvage that, but some will look at it and just say it's United and Liverpool wanting to look after themselves. Now, the reason they'll say that is because not only have United and Liverpool come up with the idea, but also under these proposals, United and Liverpool, because they're bigger clubs, would have, well, United are the biggest, obviously, would have more of a say. And I think they're saying that the 9 clubs that have been in the top flight the longest would have a bigger say than all the other clubs. So that's obviously going to ruffle a few feathers, upset a lot of people, upset a lot of clubs who are outside those big 9, if you will. So we'll have to wait and see whether this happens, whether these changes come into effect, whether this gathers any sort of momentum, or whether the people that are against it, those criticising it, get their way and it just sort of fizzles out. We've seen changes before in the Premier League. I'm old enough to remember when the Premier League became the Premier League, when it went from Division 1 to the Premier League. A lot of people were against that. I remember when it was 22 teams in the top flight and then it obviously went down to 20. A lot of people were against that. So sometimes changes aren't necessarily a bad thing. We've seen it more recently with things like goal line technology, VAR, although you could argue that VAR is a bad thing. Going back again, the pass-back rule, things like that. Football changes, we've seen it. Some changes are good, some not so good. So we'll have to wait and see whether these are changes that happen and whether people get behind them or not. But we know that some changes are being suggested because, as I've mentioned earlier, we are seeing a lot of clubs struggling. The pandemic as well has hit clubs hard. Clubs were already struggling. Now with the pandemic, crowds not at the games. Yes, Manchester United, clubs like that are going to lose money, but we can deal with that. We can take that financial hit. We know that, especially our owners who take lots of money out of the club regardless of whether fans are in the game or not. So, as I said earlier, wait and see what happens with that one. Other stories doing the rounds this morning. Some of these were covered a little bit yesterday by McCall when he did his Gazette, but a story that was doing the rounds is about Bruno Fernandes at Spurs, the Spurs game at half-time. We've heard this one. I think the Mirror have been running it as well. Said that Bruno Fernandes laid into his teammates, accusing them of not upholding the proud name of Manchester United. He kept yelling, "We are supposed to be Manchester United. This shouldn't be happening." That was at half-time against Tottenham Hotspur. I don't need to go into that. We all know what happened there. We know the result. And apparently Bruno voiced his concerns, and a few papers are still running with that story. It's been doing the rounds. Another story that's been doing the rounds as well, it was doing the rounds yesterday, and again there's a little bit of a follow-up this morning from some of the papers, is that Ed Woodward is prepared to sack Ole Gunnar Solskjaer if Manchester United's season continues to stall. That's not a surprise. And again, I think McCall has touched on this yesterday. He said that Ed's obviously been briefing the media, which tends to happen when results don't go our way. We get Ed Woodward and some of his cronies, if you will, briefing the media that he is prepared to sack the manager, that maybe a director of football, that'll be the next one. We're looking at a director of football. We go through these cycles of stories and these cycles of briefs, and it's absolutely nothing new. Ole Gunnar Solskjaer is always going to be under pressure. A Manchester United manager will always be under pressure. Doesn't matter whether you're winning lots of games or losing. Once you start going on a losing run, you're going to be under pressure, and at the moment United aren't having a good start to the season. Mauricio Pochettino being available obviously adds to that pressure. Ever since Pochettino got sacked at Spurs, he's been linked with the United job. Even before that, even when he was at Spurs, he was linked with the United job. I remember years ago, me and Howson at the other side of the ground doing a bit of a chat when Louis van Gaal was rumoured to be leaving, and Pochettino was reported to be next in line. Then it was either him or Mourinho, and obviously Mourinho got the job. Now again he's been linked with it, and the stories are that Ed Woodward is prepared to sack Ole and bring in Pochettino if needs must. I mean, I just think it's very early to be talking about getting rid of the manager. We're 3 games into the season, in the Premier League season. Yes, we haven't had a great start, but we finished 3rd last season, and I think to sack the manager just after deadline day as well, when we've just brought in some new players, just smacks of desperation, and it doesn't make much sense. I know there's a lot of people out there that are keen to see Pochettino coming in, but I think Ole Gunnar Solskjaer at least deserves to be given bare minimum, till the next transfer window, which is only 80 odd days away. Personally, I'd give him till the end of the season and then decide if you're going to bring in a new manager. But it doesn't matter which manager you bring in, unless you back them properly in the transfer market, then you're just going to have to go through this cycle again of boom and bust, bringing in a manager, giving him some transfers, the manager doing okay for a season, having a patchy season the following season or whatever, or not backing them properly, and then they're moving on. We've seen it with Mourinho, we've seen it with Louis van Gaal. I mean, we saw it after 8 months with David Moyes. I don't think anyone was moaning when he got sacked, but sooner or later you have to change the structure at the club and the strategy, even if there is one, which I don't think there is, on how we approach managers, how we handle managers, and how we support them and back them. And at the moment, we're not really doing a very good job of that. Now, one signing that did come in was Edinson Cavani. He's been speaking about his transfer to Manchester United, and he said that Ole Gunnar Solskjaer played a part in bringing him here to Old Trafford. He said that when it comes to Solskjaer, yes, I had a conversation with the manager, and to be truthful, that also really encouraged me to come to United. I think it's always very positive for a player when you have the backing of the manager. So Cavani's saying that he spoke to Ole and that Ole helped convince him to come here. Listen, I think we can all agree that Cavani wasn't the transfer we expected. It wasn't one that many of us wanted when we were being linked with Jadon Sancho, when we were being linked with a few other players during the summer as well. Cavani's name didn't really come up, and when it did, towards the end of the window, most people, myself included, were a little bit sceptical. But we know what he brings to the team. He's a proven goal scorer. Yes, he's getting on a bit. He's 33 years old, but he brings that sort of experience, that confidence as well. He's taking the number 7 shirt. So, like most United fans, I'll be getting behind him, and it's good to know that the manager has obviously had a word with him and there's a relationship there. Hopefully, Edinson Cavani can silence any critics he's got and score some goals and help Manchester United get over this poor start we've had to the season and start moving forward and end all the speculation about Ole Gunnar Solskjaer's future by winning football matches. That's how you do it. You win football matches and then the manager isn't under the cosh. People can get behind him. Now, another story that was doing the rounds, I'm just going to touch on this because I saw this morning and I'm going to tell you straight away it's a load of nonsense, was that Raphael Varane could be linked to Manchester United. Now, this sort of did a little bit of a cycle. It was in the papers, I think, a day or two ago. Then it's been regurgitated again, and it comes on the back of saying reports in Spain say that Raphael Varane could be a target for Manchester United. His contract ends in 2022, and United are interested in. United have been linked with Varane for years, going back to about 7 or 8 years. I know he's only 27, but he was in the Real Madrid team very early on, and even before he went there, he was linked with Manchester United. Obviously that never happened, and now there's talk that we could still be in for him. Don't believe this for 1 minute. It says reports from Spain, but if you scratch beneath the surface, it was in Deportivo, I think the paper over there, and when they got it from the Daily Star. So it's just a case of the Daily Star printing something more or less making it up. Some papers in Spain running a story off the back of it, and then papers over here saying, oh, reports in Spain say that Varane could be heading to Old Trafford. I don't think Raphael Varane will be coming to Old Trafford. Love to see him here. I know he didn't have a great game against Manchester City, and that may well have put a few people off, but he's a quality defender, but I don't see that one happening. At the moment, the only players we know that are coming to Old Trafford are the ones we signed in the recent transfer window, and I'm looking forward to seeing them, and hopefully sooner rather than later we'll have fans back here inside the ground at Old Trafford. So, project big picture is the main talking point, and also Cavani, who says that Ole is one of the reasons that he came into Old Trafford. Other than that, it's all been a little bit quiet on the paper front, but we'll keep you posted as to any breaking news, any updates we have. We'll have lots of videos coming up this week. We'll also be looking ahead towards the Newcastle game. We'll have the watch along as well when that Newcastle game does come. Looks like you're going to have to pay $40.99 to watch it, but you can watch our watch along for free. So don't forget to hit like, share and subscribe. I'll be on Howson's Brew later. I've been Jay. This has been Stretford Paddock Paper Talk. Thanks for watching.